The House passed a $1.2 trillion budget to fund the rest of the government through September on Friday, sending the bill to the Senate just hours before the agencies covered in the new spending plan would have shut down. The legislation now heads to the Senate, where it requires support from the entirety of the upper chamber to move forward, leaving open the possibility of a partial shutdown or another stopgap measure. A temporary closure over the weekend would have limited effect on government operations, but if it extends to Monday, workers with the Internal Revenue Service, Customs and Border Protection and Transportation Security Administration could be furloughed. The House is narrowly controlled by the GOP while Democrats hold a thin majority in the Senate, requiring tough bipartisan negotiations to keep the government open, and sometimes forcing GOP leaders to anger hard-right members who favor deep spending cuts. Congress passed what's known as continuing resolutions in September, November, January and again in February to fund the government under the fiscal year 2023 plan as it worked out a full-year deal. The February vote extended the deadline for the Departments of Agriculture, the Food and Drug Administration, Commerce Justice, Transportation and Housing and Urban Development through March 8 and the remainder through March 22. Negotiations on the legislation approved Friday were largely stalled over funding for the Department of Homeland Security, amid a bitter partisan feud over border security. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, R-Calif, filed a motion to remove House Speaker Mike Johnson, R-Calif, from his leadership post over the legislation moments before the House was set to vote on the budget. Hard-right lawmakers have expressed outrage over a host of provisions in the spending plan, including its exclusion of policy riders that would have blocked access to reproductive health care services, gender-affirming care, and diversity, equity and inclusion initiatives. The House's decision in September to continue the fiscal year 2023 budget was the catalyst to former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's R-Calif historic ouster in October, with a small group of far-right lawmakers who voted for his removal citing a lack of sufficient spending cuts in the plan. Greene, a McCarthy ally, did not vote for his removal.